what day it is. It's Wednesday, and that means crafting with Miss Cori. Today, we are gonna hang out and make a nature-inspired craft. So, check this out. So the supplies that we're gonna use today are some air dry clay by Crayola. This I found in Walmart in their craft section. And it does come in smaller bunches. And if you don't have the time or don't want to buy any clay, you can always use my salt dough recipe that was on a previous video that we took a few weeks ago. Then we're going to need a rolling pin to roll our clay flat. We need some different size leaves, different shapes, different sizes. Those would work really well. We need some clay tools. If you have stuff for Play-Doh, that will work, or clay, or even just an old-fashioned plastic butter knife. And then have maybe 2 small bowls or 1 bowl. I might try and use one or the other. Let's just see how it goes in the project. But if you have those on hand, that'll be perfect. So I went outside earlier and I found some leaves. I've just clipped them off of the trees that are by my house. And the fun part about it is when you flip it over, see how you can see all of the skeletal structure of the leaves? See all those little tiny lines? That's what we want to look for. And these leaves over here, when you flip them over, see these little leaves? And see all their lines? That's exactly what we're looking for right there, those edges, because once we use the clay, we put them together and press them like a mold. What's gonna happen is those little leaves, all those skeletal lines of the leaf, it'll end up leaving an impression in the clay for you. So let's grab some clay and let's roll it out. Okay, now I have my clay rolled out. It's not very thick. I would say that's maybe about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little less. Every once in a while you might find a few little air pockets, but you can just push them down or just pop them with the edge of your knife or your tool that you have, and just toothpicks work great for this if you don't want to use a knife or mom and dad are not in the room. So I'm gonna take, these are my fig leaves because we have a fig tree in our backyard. So I'm gonna take this first and let's find a good spot for it. I'm gonna lay this down and I'm going to push the leaf into the clay. I like using my fingers because I have more control over where I'm pushing, instead of using the rolling pin again and really flattening it out. So I want to do this, and I think I want the stem. I want a little bit of a stem. I think that would be fun. And if we don't like it, we can cut it off. I'm gonna use the little one. Hope this will work. And smush this down. You want to make sure you get all the edges. I want to try one of these too. Sometimes starting from the middle is easy, then it anchors the leaf to the clay, and then you push. Make sure all these little edges are pushed down, because once I'm done with this, we are going to cut the leaves out of the clay. All right. So let's cut, we'll cut the little one out first. So I'm using a clay knife, and I'm just gonna go around the edges, and it doesn't have to be completely perfect. The little edges on this leaf are kind of, they're kind of jagged just a little bit. See? Either that, or I can try, look, this is what it looks like with a plastic knife. And just go in and take out the little pieces and go right around the edge. Just like that. I'm gonna go back to this one quick. And if it messes up, if it takes off a little too much, clay is very forgivable and it will allow you to go back in and smush it back together. So look, okay. So this little guy, my stem didn't stay too well, but look at this. I'm gonna lift it up very carefully and kind of just pick very carefully. It's like when you have a Band-Aid on, you want to do it very slow and very carefully. And look at that. It's a leaf. Can you believe that those little lines right there, all those little lines, they went into the clay just like that. And see how my little stem, it doesn't look, it kind of looks a little squished because I was trying to hold it down. You can just move your knife around or use your little fingers. You can push in the edges and make sure that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my other leaves so then I can show you what to do with them after that. Okay, so now that I have removed all the excess clay, it's time to peel up our leaves and see what they look like. Look how beautiful that is. I think the stems might be just a little too thin for them to work. And take your time. If your edges are really pokey and pointy like this, like these two leaves, take your time. It's okay. Let's trying to grab the little stem. I'm having trouble. He doesn't want to come off. So like I said, just do it slowly, like you would pull off a Band-Aid. Look at that. How neat is that? So using Crayola air dry clay, all you have to do is air dry it. You don't have to bake it in the oven. If it was the salt dough you decided to use, you would need to bake that, but let it sit for just a little while to kind of just air dry first, and then make sure that your bowl or your dish that you're using to put in the oven, I would make sure it's oven safe, and Mom would be able to know, she would know if that is possible for it to go in the oven. And that's only for salt dough, but you can also use tin foil and line a bowl and be able to put it in the oven that way. But for this dough, it is all air dry. So what I want to do is, I think I'm going to use, let's use the larger one. So I want to use the larger bowl that I have here, and I'm just going to carefully put it in the dish like this. And what it's doing is, I'm using a clear one so it's easier to show you, but see how it's not all the way pushed in. There's just a little bit of an angle on it, and that's so it becomes a bowl shape. And I'm going to actually add another, let's do that one here. And then where they stick together, you can kind of like push them together just a little bit. And if they don't adhere once they're dry, you can, because they're laying one on top of another, you can go back in and use some glue. And see how they're resting right there, one on top of another. So you just very carefully, like you're holding an egg, and carefully press and put those two together like that. So I'll have a little dish once this dries. And I may want to add another smaller leaf to this, so it'll be 3 leaves. It's just however you want to do it. Let's see what we could do with this smaller one. I'm gonna lift this up. Let's set this right down. That is a big one. And once these dry, if you give it a few days to dry, and then after it dries, you can paint them with any paints that you have. I'm gonna just add that little one right there because I think it's really cute. And that'll act like sides of a dish. Okay, so now that I cleaned up a little bit, I wanted to show you, I made this leaf earlier on in the day, and I had it in my bowl, and see, already it's drying, and it has a nice curved shape. So this, I want to give it a few more days, put it back in the bowl, but in a few days it should be all white and standing up just like this. And this is a great little dish that you can paint and maybe give it to mom, or you can have it for yourself and put little things in it. Or I know if I'm gonna use it, I would take off my rings and I would sit them in there. Easy. But you can have a lot of fun and build a lot of different things with it. All the different leaves you see outside. I know I have some really big leaves, so you would probably need a bigger bowl to do that with, and maybe some help from mom and dad. But you can have a lot of fun with this project. You can paint them any different color you want and display them anywhere. And even if you wanted to dry them flat, put a little hole in it before it's fully dried, and you can hang them up on your wall as a like kind of a mobile. But you can have fun with it any which way you think of. Creativity is one of those things that it's amazing. It's amazing to have, and it's a absolute blessing. It's a gift that God gives us, so we can do with it whatever we want. I hope you guys have had fun today. I know I have, because I love getting a little messy. Make sure that you tune in next week again on Wednesday at 2 o'clock and see us on Facebook and tag us and show me what you made. I really want to see, even if it's from last week, show me. I want to see what you have. Send me pictures. We'll see you guys soon. Be safe. Be well. Bye.